We are doing a first round mock draft. So this is probably going to be similar to what you see in the first top 10 picks of your draft. Maybe some controversial ones. We'll talk about that after we go through the 10 picks. What we're going to do is we're going to alternate. So I'm going to go first, then Nimmer, then Darian, and we're going to keep going until pick 10, all picking a player. And we're all going to give some evidence why do we think that players should be drafted at that spot through the research that we've done. So my number one pick is CD Lamb. I think this is probably the most logical pick this year. If you think about drafting Christian McCaffrey, I know that's the big consensus number one pick. If you look at the recent history, usually the number one player does not repeat and be the number one player the very next year. CD Lamb is in a situation where Zeke is the running back for the Cowboys, but he isn't, Zeke of 2015. This is a much older Zeke, and they're most likely going to be throwing the ball a lot. And I think with the numbers Lamb put up last year, he was the number one receiver last year. I think that is a trend that could continue again, this time putting him in the number one overall spot in the draft.
Yeah, and so since Drew's not going to pick CMC, I will gladly take him off your hands. He has like you meant was probably the best player of all time. Sorry, I have my dog like staring at
We
me
have a
because it's
guest.
dinner time. He's number one in total yards, number three in receptions, which is huge for a running back in a PPR league. He's number two in receiving yards, number one in rushing yards, and number one in total fantasy points. So, I mean, that's definitely if CMC doesn't go number one, he should go number two, definitely.
For sure. And there at pick three, after seeing CD go first and McCaffrey, you have a slew of top end wide receivers in front of you. But honestly, I got to go Tyreek Hill here. He's had. Thank you for the applause there. That really gelled with him. He knew that was a good pick.
Come here, almost.
Um,
Come here.
but yeah, two years back to back with
Come
119 receptions, both years amassing over
here.
1,700 yards.
What's wrong? Can you see him?
We can.
Oh, there he is.
Say hello. Say hello.
Is that a husky?
Yeah. It's a Alaska Malamute.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, sorry.
Are you done with the Tyreek Hill, Darren?
No, just with that being said, 2 years back to back, almost 120 receptions, 1,700 yards in both years, and I think he amassed double-digit touchdowns last year. He's going to hold that same value going in with Jalen Waddle being healthy, him coming to the helm as well, and Tua. I think it's a safe pick here at three, and you're getting a lot with that PPR upside.
Did you guys see his interview saying that he could beat Noah Lyles?
Yeah, it's hogwash.
Yeah, no Lyles is dusting him.
Tyreek's fast, but I think I saw something the other day that he's done track before, and his fastest time was behind like the sixth ranked, like the last place runner in this year's
Oh
Olympics.
wow.
So track speed is a whole different thing.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
definitely.
So with the fourth pick, I think this is the perfect position to draft Bijan Robinson. A lot of people last year were a year early. Shout out Darian.
Yeah.
I think this year Bijan Robinson is going to put up very good numbers. Raheem Morris, the head coach, came in and said right away we're going to use him in a Christian McCaffrey type role. I think of a younger Christian McCaffrey that can catch the ball and run the ball, someone that's going to give you points in both of those avenues. I think Bijan Robinson is going to make a lot of noise this year. I would personally take him over Brees Hall. I know that is a little controversial, but I think you're dealing with a younger running back, number one. Number two, you heard Morris's comments about using him in a Christian McCaffrey type role. And number three, he can catch the ball better than a lot of running backs in the league.
So after that, I think I'm going to go with St. Brown. Um, he was by far the most entertaining, and I mean, just seeing him in the Netflix show, The Receiver, was just unbelievable. I think in week 2 he had like a broken rib, right, or something like that, where and he played through it. I mean, he's the Lions are gonna go really far. Plus, he doesn't really have that many weapons around him that would take away from his weapon share or take away from his receptions. He was number 5 in targets, number 2 in receptions, number 3 in receiving yards. Excuse me, number 5 in TDs. Excuse me, and number 3 in total fantasy points. So, I mean, if this is my my RB1 or not RB1, wide receiver 1, I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, he's been extremely consistent all throughout his career.
Yeah.
Darian, why don't we go through pick 6 here?
Yeah, pick
Oops.
6. We talked about him earlier. He's my target athlete or target running back for the year. Brees Hall, just with that offense and just the explosiveness that he's had, especially coming off injury. He almost posted 1,000 yards rushing, and I think he had 5 touchdowns in last year's appearances. So with that being healthy, having a full offseason to recover, there's so much upside with him in that run game. So he definitely would be a steal at pick 6 after seeing Bijan Robinson go at pick 4.
That's your opinion. I'm kidding. But at pick 107, I would be shocked if Jamar Chase was still here, but that's who I would probably pick with this pick, given the players that have gone off the board. There is some. It is a little bit of a hairy situation with Jamar Chase because you have Joe Burrow coming off an injury. There were stories during this offseason that Joe Burrow was progressing a little slower than what people thought with the wrist injury. But I think Jamar Chase is just too talented. When Burrow is healthy, that's his favorite target. And they are one of the most dynamic duos in the league. At pick 7, I'm picking Jamar Chase.
That means at pick 8, I'm going with J.J. Jefferson. We kind of talked about it when we talked about the other J.J., but I think he's still top 5, if not the best wide receiver in the league. And I mentioned without Kirk, but he only played 10 games last year. These were his numbers. He still broke 1,000 in 10 games. That means that he missed 7 and still got 1,000 yards. He had 107 yards per game and then 6.8 receptions per game. So if that's only in 10 games, imagine what he can do in all 17. Now, granted, he will have Sam Darnold as a quarterback, but I think that with Sam Darnold, he's going to be coming into a new system. I feel like the new system is just going to be like, get JJ the ball. That's all we need to do. He will fend off the double team. He'll fend off all of them. So that is my pick number 8.
Yeah, at number 9, you kind of at a pivotal position. Do you go wide receiver 1? Do you go RB1? You have a ton of players on the board, but in this moment, I'm taking AJ Brown. He showed last year he was a consistent threat. I believe in the first 9 weeks he was ranked wide receiver 3 in the league. So he's going to show consistency, especially when their offense comes out guns blazing. Jalen Hurts is going to throw him the ball. He's going to get the red zone targets. He's going to get touchdowns. He's going to be all over the field. He's a great route runner too, and he's a big body. So I'd be remiss if I took anybody else outside of this pick 9. But AJ Brown, I do expect to have another solid year, especially in the NFC East, where 2 of the other teams don't really have that great of a secondary, like the Commanders and the Giants. They do have a couple of pieces, but I think he's going to torch them. He's going to have really good games against them.
Yeah, and with number 10, I have another Eagle coming off the board. I have Saquon Barkley. This is probably a more controversial pick than the other ones. If you're sitting here at 10, though, to be honest with you, You need someone that's going to give you numbers. If you look at the other running backs that are past this, Jameer Gibbs, he's competing with David Montgomery. There's that argument. Um, who are some other running backs?
Kyron Williams.
Kyron Williams has Blake Corum coming in. Kyron had some injuries last year that he dealt with as well. He's probably going to be a pretty good back. He could be here at 10 as well. I think with Saquon Barkley, I look at him. Swift in the first 10 weeks of the season last year was pretty great for fantasy. I think Saquon Barkley is a much more consistent running back than Swift is, and he gives you just breakaway speed that Swift didn't really have, and a catching ability. Swift can catch the ball as well. Don't get me wrong, but I think Barkley has had a lot of screen passes that have gone all the way to the house. I think he is a very good pick this year. If you're sitting at 10 and you have Saquon on the board, I would suggest going with Saquon Barkley. I think it's a safe pick. You might hear people say in your draft room that Jalen Hurts is going to take all the touchdowns away from him. We don't really know what the Eagles' offense is going to look like this year. With Kelsey retiring, I think he was pretty much the lead man in the tush push. You could see less and less of the tush push this year, especially if it doesn't work right away. And I think that is something that is possible to happen. So I'd go with Saquon Barkley for
What
the
about
10th.
Wilson? When I would take Wilson number 10. What do you think?
Garrett Wilson is another.
Or you'd pick him at 11? I guess they both would be on your team.
Yeah, at pick 10, you're going to have the next pick. That's probably what I would do. I'd probably go Barkley and then Garrett Wilson. Those are two solid number ones that are going to be in two different positions. I think Barkley is a good pick this year. He has the injury history that could affect him, but so does every other player mostly. So that's who I would pick with pick 10. And that is pretty much all we have for you today. That gave you a nice little mock round for your first round. You can use it to your advantage, or you could not. You could go with your own game plan. That is up to you. We just thought it would be helpful for people maybe drafting for the first time. You get to see a mock draft live to help you out for your draft. I want to